Welcome everyone to the Town of McCandless meeting of Town Council for November 22nd, 2021. I apologize for starting a little bit late. It's important to be prompt to me, but we're having some technical difficulties. We are also going to be trying some new to change how we've been doing our public comment. Please bear with us. We hope it's going to go smoothly. We would like to have Councilmember Ropa please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, announcements this evening. The council's reorganizational meeting will be January 3rd at 8 p.m. I'm sorry, was left off of our calendar inadvertently on our dates that we approved. So please, everyone, write that on your calendar. That is where we have the swearing in of the new council members and the election of town officials. Big shout out for PAC 329 at Memorial Park Church. I went and spoke to the Cub Scout troop over there. What a great group of guys. They're so interested. They're going to be a great generation of citizens growing up right now. Really enjoy meeting with them on Monday. We have not one, but 3 toy collections going on right now. The police department, the fire departments, as well as the McCandless Democratic Committee are all collecting toys for Tots. We have extended leaf pickup because all the trees haven't given up their leaves yet till December the 10th. It was supposed to end, I think, this week, and we extended that, hoping that the leaves will fall. I also wanted to make a note that we still have a couple openings on boards. So if you are interested in those are on the town website. You can look and see what's available and see if there's something you would be interested in. So we talked about public comment last week, last meeting. For those of you who weren't here, we kind of changed things when we went all to Zoom because it's very difficult to orchestrate all these people that are there, all these people that are here to get public comment in some kind of organized fashion so that people are speaking about what they want to speak about. So then we changed public comment to one time during the meeting. So then we went to hybrid and we're still figuring things out. To make a long story short, we're going to try tonight to go back to our previous practice. So we will have public comment before we vote on each item. Individuals, I will take comment from individuals that are here first. Everyone who is on Zoom, put in your name, your address, and the subject you want to speak about. If you've got an agenda in front of you and say, I want to talk at the public hearing, I want to talk about the budget. Put that in the chat box, please, so that way RJ can organize when you want to speak. And you can go ahead and put that in now. So you have the opportunity to speak at one of 3 or all 3 public hearings, as well as make comments at the end of committee reports, at the end of the committee report, as well as before we vote on any of these motions. Now, at the end, it says public non-agenda comments. So if you have a comment about a barking dog, we didn't talk about barking dogs tonight, about something, that is when you can put down there non-agenda comment, okay? And then we'll save you to the end. And then when we come to that point, then RJ will have first come, first serve to start speaking after we take in-house comments. So please bear with us. If we miss you, we put you under the wrong thing, it's unintentional. We're trying to see if we can make this work. I hope we can. All right. That was the end of the announcements that I have. Council has in their pack the minutes from November 8th, 2021. Were there any edits, changes, or additions to the minutes?
Present then.
Yes, Councilmember Clooney.
Yes, I have two small errors. One was the motion for the bond reduction request. The motion was made by Councilman Tarl, and I seconded that. And in the minutes, it said that Councilperson Rafa had seconded.
Okay,
And number two, the motion to appoint our new AAC representative. Councilwoman Sponholz did not abstain, and that was approved 6-0 that evening.
okay, thank you. Do you have that? Okay, Councilmember Sponholz, did you have one?
I had the same one.
The same ones. Okay, perfect. Anything else? Okay, if there are no other changes, the floor is open for a motion to approve the minutes. All right, Councilmember Sponholz. Second?
Second.
Okay, Member Ropa. All right, all those in favor of accepting the minutes as submitted with those two edits, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes are accepted. All right, the next item on our agenda is, we all received the 2020 annual audit, the financial audit that the town is required to have in your packs with the summaries. I think Bob's going to give a short summary, and we do have,
Yes, Jeff Kent is here.
do we have, Jeff, are you there?
Jeff Kent.
Can Jeff speak? Hold on, Jeff.
Mic and camera.
Hi.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, hi, hi,
Can you hear
good.
me?
Yes, we can't hear you. Thank you. Okay, Bob, do you want to?
Sure. I'll do a real brief summary. And then if anybody has questions for myself or Tricia or Jeff, feel free to ask them. As President Zachary mentioned, all the council received copies of the 2020 audit. Nardusa conducted the audit over the last number of months. It is an unmodified opinion, which essentially is a clean audit for us. They've also submitted all necessary documents to the state as required. I believe that the hard work that Nardusa put into the audit, as well as staff put into the audit, provides us a good foundation and framework for moving forward with the town's finances. The numbers, the audited financials have been used as the basis for our fund balances and the work that we did in the 2022 budget. There were some recommendations that they made, which we have already started undertaking and working toward. And really, I think that in a nutshell are the highlights in terms of the process. Jeff, anything that you'd like to add?
He muted himself. I'm gonna send you another mic request.
Okay.
Sorry, Jeff, you cannot unmute yourself.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Nothing to add. Certainly happy to answer any questions that anybody has now, or if any questions come up after this meeting, we can certainly make ourselves available.
Are there any questions from council members?
I have a question about the process. The recommendations made seem very clear and obvious that they were good ideas. But in this situation, is there ever a time when recommendations are made that are rejected by council or by the town or anything? I'm just just to be clear on how the process works.
I don't think that there would ever be a time where we would reject the recommendation. Depending on what the recommendation would be, and that at the off the top of my head, I can't even think of an example. We may not be able to do something exactly as recommended, but we would work to come as close because
Okay.
we could.
Well, like I said, I think the
Staffing.
recommendations made perfect sense. that we're-
Staffing and the like sometimes impacts what we can and can't do
Okay,
in terms of checks and balances. The one thing that I do want to say in general, Jeff, I appreciate all the hard work that you and Katie and your folks put into it. I think that it was a good team and we got a great audit out of it.
Thank you.
Did you have anything you wanted to add, Jeff?
I don't think so. Like I said, happy to answer questions. In terms of that one, I guess, question on the process, the management responses that are in the letter, those are not essentially part of the audit, anything we audit. And so in terms of the question about rejecting a recommendation, typically we would report on anything we think needs reported, and management could agree or disagree with our recommendation.
thank you.
All right, if there are no questions or comments by council, thank you, Jeff. We appreciate you joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Have a good night. All right, we have 3 public hearings this evening. I would like to open the first public hearing for the application to rezone 10185 through 10201 Perry Highway from R2 to C7.
Just real quick, before we move forward, there's a little bit of an audio feedback issue that's coming from our room out to the broadcast. I'm wondering if it may be the laptops, some of those are awful close to the mic, so for anybody that wants either mute the laptop or mute the mic, let's see. Councilmember Schweiger, tell us.
Thank you. Let us know if it gets any, if it's any better. All right.
Carolyn, how's it going?
It's still making the noise, so I don't know. I mean, I'm sure everyone else who's online can hear it too.
All right, we'll try to troubleshoot on the fly here, but
Okay,
time we can move on, sorry.
okay.
Hi, folks. My name's Tim Fitzgerald with Keller Williams, and I'm representing Fleming's, the Pringle Estate for 10185 to 10201 rezoning from currently R2 to C7. The whole idea here is we come up with a couple different reasons it's a benefit to the township. First of all, we would make a line of sight. Anybody who's pulled out a long view, as most of these residents know, pulling out, it's a very hard place to pull out. And first thing up would be put a 100-foot side line of sight line there, so it's a little bit safer. Second thing, we feel it's a natural extension of what's going on there. Obviously, C3 is next door. Catty corner to and next to the fire department is C7. This would be, again, a natural extension of what the property is. We're because of the current size of the property and the boundary limits in building, we were proposing to put a parking lot there because it's the best use of the property, and because you really can't do anything with the buildings. Can't update them without some type of variance. If we're going to do a variance, we'd have to do a variance anyway. So this a property or parking lot there would be the best use of it. That's what we thought. We went with C7 as we talked to the planning commission. We thought that would be our best options there. I think Ms. Zachary had mentioned about putting sidewalks around. I think that would be a good thing as a natural start. And I think that's something that the township did want was sidewalks. I'm not opposed to that. It makes actually good sense on the outside perimeter of what the parking lot would be. The other thing is the parcels are 3 separate parcels, and 2 of the parcels pull directly out onto Perry Highway coming down a hill, and it's definitely a safety item. If you ever pulled out there, it's very hard. The driveways it's next to impossible to have any type of sight line there. Those would be eliminated in this too. So 3 areas of safety that would increase is the sight line from Longview, and eliminating 2 entrance curb cuts that would currently on the two of the parcels. And again, would putting a sidewalk up there would help. And it's the most practical thing to do, even with R2, and I always talk to RJ, there's really no buildings that can be constructed there because there's no, when these things were built years ago, the codes were different and you can't really do anything much with them. And of course, they're in not good shape as anybody drove by, and the folks are not in a position financially to really upgrade them. So that's a short, condensed version of why we feel that we want to go to a C7.
Are there any comments or questions from council?
Roger, please.
Yes.
When you refer to this as being a parking lot,
Mhm.
are you looking to commercialize that maybe the car dealerships or someone like that would be purchasing that property?
Yes.
Okay, now with that in mind, I know the property you're referring to, but I would like to go back up and see it.
Sure.
Because if they start bringing cars in, transporting them in, you don't have the space for turnaround up there.
Well, it would be connection. It really wasn't supposed to be. That's not the idea. It's not supposed to be for like a car carrier you're talking
Yes.
about.
Yes.
Yeah, that I don't think it'd be ideal for a car carrier because just the way the limits are. It would just be more for like overflow or service or parking. It's not for unloading cars. I don't see how you could do it.
I would agree with you.
Yeah, it's just a regular park.
My question still holds.
Yeah.
What guarantee do we have that once that's sold, that they're not going to start doing something like that?
Yeah, I can't answer that question because I think realistically, I don't think you can get a car carrier turned around in there, in the size of it because of the way the layout is. But, that's a valid question. I mean, that would be something with a car carrier coming in and out. The only way they have to turn around, the suggested, but where we laid out here is you can only make, when you're coming out onto Longview, you can only make a left turn only. So nothing goes into the plan. And you can't even go to the plan with a car carrier anyway, because it's too big a truck.
May I answer another question? Going on to Longview, does that not impact the residents back there?
We would only make a left turn, no right turn.
It wouldn't go through the neighborhood. It would turn left onto Perry Highway.
No, left onto Longview,
Right.
which then they have to
And
go.
then, right.
Right,
And
they'd have
then,
to go on.
and then it would be. on Perry
Right.
Highway.
And of course, being that it's more open, you can see people coming down from 19, you could see pulling out from Longview out on the Perry Highway.
And a follow-up to that,
Sure.
I mean, how do you stop people from going right onto Longview?
Well, I mean, it's no left turn. I mean, you can put a no left turn sign on, other than you couldn't have a cop there watching them. That's just.
Yeah, I mean,
short.
it's,
I mean,
I don't know if I've ever seen a no right turn sign aside from one-way street.
No right turn, I'm sorry. I said no left. I apologize. I misspoke. Yes, no right turn.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, you could just have the curb could only go out. You're not going to be able to, if you angle the curb, so the entrance goes out to Longview, it goes at a certain angle, so to pull around would be detrimental to the car. Somebody's driving a car.
Any other comments or questions from council? Councilmember Swanholm?
Thank you. So are you saying at this juncture that there is not even an option agreement, no purchase contract? This is in anticipation of the possibility of sometime in the future?
Well, we have conversations with separate, couple different dealers on the property. So, if it is that, they'd be interested in the property.
And have you ever, it just seems to me that it's one thing when you talk about if this is going to be used for parking lot, it's obvious, at least to me, that the only reasonable user of a parking lot is the Schultz Ford operation. And I know I'd feel a lot more comfortable if it was Schultz Ford in here. and not prospective sellers hoping for the windfall of a change to C7 zoning. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, I could be wrong here, but I thought I recalled in the planning commission that you were asked by at least one planning commission member if you would be willing to, or the owners would be willing to forego the entrance onto Longview completely.
Yeah, I don't think that was, it's still an open slate. You can make it to just go, you mean just, what happened there is the fellow, I forget the fellow was in the middle there. He said that he didn't like that idea because he didn't like having access to Perry. He thought it was better to eliminate to come out on the Longview than it was to go to Perry. So, I mean, we can do
Well, I
that.
was assuming the entrance onto Perry would be through the car dealership.
No, but we could do that. It's not, we're not opposed to that. You can do that. It was one of the advantages. Well, you know what? You could eliminate that and still go on to Perry and still have a line of sight from Longview. That could be worked out. That actually probably that's probably a better idea. I like that idea.
Not sure we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, no, you are, because now you instead of eliminating the curb cut, excuse me, from one of the curb cuts, keep one of the curb cuts, the 10201 curb cut, which is in the middle, keep that, and then there'll be nothing coming out of Longview.
So that isn't what I was actually suggesting.
Oh, okay.
If Schultz Ford is the only reasonable user of that property, Schultz Ford currently has a highway occupancy permit and a driveway onto Route 19. I was suggesting that be their sole entrance.
Oh, I see.
And they would obviously have the access through their property to utilize this for parking. So I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on that.
But this is not a site approval tonight. This is a rezoning.
Yes.
So they would have to come before council again with the
Absolutely.
site approval. So we can talk all about
Yeah.
where we think it should be until the site comes to be approved.
Right.
That's when,
This is just a proposal,
right.
because we had to have something to give to you guys to be able to do the rezoning.
Right. Are there any other comments from?
I have a question, but it's probably more for RJ. What are the other uses under C7? So what is C7? Because we've been through this before with other properties where, we were thinking about rezoning, but once you rezone, it's rezoned, and then any of the allowed purposes under that classification are allowed.
Right.
So what
Let's see
else?
how much I can do from memory, but I got the use chart here as well. So the office building district is primarily does what it says on the 10, right? Office. I think that daycare is one of the uses as well. There are a couple different types of parking lots. This vehicle storage lot would be one of them. Looking to see here if anything else is, you could put a helipad on there if you really wanted to. Research lab also is an option, but I mean, it's pretty much just office uses, and all of them would have a 100-foot setback residential parcels required. So presumably anything that would go there, regardless of the use, would require some sort of variance if it were to be rezoned.
Okay, and then this is 3 separate parcels, right? And
Yes.
all 3 would be, the proposal is all 3 would be rezoned to C7.
Yes.
And then would there be a consolidation of those lots?
So that would be the general consensus to do it that way. It makes the most sense to eventually consolidate the 3.
I mean, you have to do it as part of your land development application.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what you told me before. You have to do it that way.
Yeah, and then I definitely have more site plan questions, but that's not true now, so.
Are there any other council questions before we take public comment? Yes.
I think it's more for RJ. If we rezone it, the sidewalk regulations are still required for whoever develops it.
Yes, and that's for any type of zone.
Okay.
Any other council questions? Okay, we are now opening the floor for public comment. You have 5 minutes. If anyone would like to make a comment at this public hearing about the application for the rezoning of this property. So if you'd like to come forward.
Hello, my name is Harry Blackwell. I live right across the street where they proposed to rezone. And I'd like a proposal to offer the council. The area I am across the street is 3.5 acres and it's a 2-lane highway. And there's plenty of room for all the turnaround, and adjacent to my property is a parking lot. While Billy Warehouse Bar. And it's all downhill. It's a 2-way highway, and I also have an access to the main Perry Highway road that leads to there. So that's my proposal.
All right, thank you for your comment.
Did we get your address, sir? I'm sorry.
My address is 10171 Old Perry Highway and 101 6th Street Old Perry Highway. I own that property from the corner all the way down to Billy's House Barn.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next person, please come up. Anyone at home on Zoom, please make sure your name is in the chat box. And if you want to talk about this, put specifically what you want to talk about, because we'll get to you after we finish with the citizens that are present. Please continue, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Ibrahim. I live at 37 Longview Avenue. So our house is part of the original Murray subdivision plan of 1995, as shown here. So the plan for the Perry consolidation into the commercial zoning are these 3 lots. This blank looking area is entirely mine. So I already border Schultz. And if this plan goes through, I will be bordering them on both sides. So back in 1995, the town decided it was a good idea to split the Murray subdivision, which was 1 lot, into these 4 lots, 1 of which is mine, 3 of which are subject to this current rezoning proposal. My family bought this property in 2001. We built the house ourselves. And when I was in 3rd grade, so this house and the lot has a lot of sentimental value to me. I've been living in it for 20 years. So I'll elaborate on some of the points of why I don't think this is a good idea. So first, the concept plan that was presented during the past 2 planning commissions is raising some concerns. Whether it's rezoned to C3, which was the original proposal, or C7, which is the current proposal, is inconsequential. Because the real question here is whether it should be rezoned at all from residential to commercial. The parcels are too small. We already know that even when consolidated, it's not wide enough. Even if the developer goes through with the consolidation, you can't put any sort of building on there. But a parking lot also raises some concerns because the intention here is to sell it to a car dealership. And the most reasonable customer of that is going to be Schultz, who already is adjacent to it. To be used as a parking lot, but if the car dealership intends to be able to store for sale vehicles, so not client vehicles, customer cars, but for sale vehicles, then it doesn't meet the zoning ordinance requirements for section 134110. There was a lot of discussion about this in the last planning commission. I don't think it was resolved then, but I asked this group to seriously consider whether the right zoning code to use is 134109 or 134110. 134109 is called vehicle parking or storage, which states, and I quote, I do have a copy here of the planning commission, parking, display, or storage of heavy equipment and vehicles as an accessory or principal use and which are not in daily use. So here's the requirements of 134109 in section B2. Parking lots shall be located 100 feet from residential areas, districts, and streets abutting such districts. My house is the closest residential house. Longview Avenue is a residential street. I don't see how this can work. If you look here, the distance from Perry Highway to my border, my property line is 160 feet. So if we're going to have a 100-foot buffer, how does it make sense for that area to be used? How exactly is this going to work when you need a 100-foot backyard setback from my property line? And how exactly is this going to work if buffer yard E is required for this? And how exactly is it going to be functional for a Schultz or any other car dealership if these are the requirements that need to be met? So the key point I'm making is that 100-foot setback were wisely written into the law for a reason, so that commercial activity does not unnecessarily become a nuisance to people like me who live in the residential properties. During the planning commission in October, I was up here making my case and showed them a picture of the current situation of my backyard back in October. So my north border is Schultz already. Here's that picture I took in October, where you see 300 tires, old tires piled up right against the back fence of my house, okay? Now, Untitled and Michaelis Code Enforcement quickly responded to my concerns. They got this situation sorted out very quickly, but it shouldn't require me to escalate this to a formal complaint to the dealership to know that stacking hundreds of tires is appropriate, okay? So my biggest question is, why should I expect the new owner of this lot, if it's commercially rezoned, to maintain the required buffer yards? They're not maintaining their buffer yards now. Do tires, are they considered a buffer yard? Whether it's Schultz or another car dealership, it doesn't matter to me. Are they going to maintain the fence that currently exists between my residential house and theirs? Or will I face a constant eyesore every day from commercial lighting and car haulers pulling in and out every week? There's a lot of significant concerns that haven't been addressed yet. Now, the other point I want to make is, so my family lives at Longview, right next to this lot, and it's certainly not in our best interest. This rezoning works against me and my family's interests. It may be in Mr. Fitzgerald's best interest to pursue this because he's a real estate agent who's trying to make the small lot easier to sell. I understand the challenges that he's facing. This is a very difficult property to sell. I get it. But what is the public benefit of this? I'm in a residential neighborhood.
I'm
Can I-
I'm
Okay,
sorry, sir.
that's fine.
Your 5 minutes are up. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your comment. Is there anyone present who would like to make a comment? Please come up. And if there's another person, if you want to come up after him, please be ready. We got a lot of public hearings to do tonight. We can kind of keep things rolling.
Good evening.
I'm sorry, just 1 second. I'm getting feedback from the person on the Zoom. If you could just try to lean back from the mic a little bit, it just picks up better. Sorry, thank you.
No problem. Good evening, John Harrison, 1473 Hedwig. In looking at this piece of property, a couple things come to mind. Have any of you driven up 19 in the evening when it's raining and they're unloading cars on the Honda dealership side? Because they can't pull the trucks into the lot. So now the fact is you're now going to be putting this on the right-hand side coming southbound. So you have people coming down the hill, and all of a sudden, if you potentially have them unloading cars on the 19, which is a huge safety hazard, especially if the weather. So we're talking about views and everything else. Think about that. The other thing is anything that's south of this, or shall I say downhill of this, we know what happens every time it rains. So let's go and pave a little bit more of the town with asphalt so that we can gather a little bit more water to throw into the water basin that falls down below the old cinema theater and where they just put the new complex in. So instead of us trying to pave over half the town, why don't we start planting some trees? Why don't we try doing something that's actually a little bit better and more beneficial to the local environment? Anybody that says it won't make a difference, they're lying to you. The flooding was never to the extent that it is right now. And anything that is upstream of where the flooding is happening, you can go to every one of them and go, oh, let's walk upstream and see what's there. What do we have? Oh, we have a new housing plan. Oh, we have a new apartment complex. Oh, we have townhouses. Oh, we have another parking lot. So all we're doing is creating the problems that become the town's problems and the people downstream's problems. What about the people that are in Hampton? What about the people that are in Shaler? What about the people that are in Etna? As that water all flows south and ends up going into the Allegheny River. We talk about being a community that believes in protecting the community. Why don't we think about that every time we're going and rezoning stuff and we're not coming in and going and clear cutting properties? Whether anybody realizes it or not, trees actually drink water. They actually make a difference when it rains. So instead of us going in and now looking at this property on the map, there's not much vegetation there, but there's also not much asphalt there. So now if you're going to talk about taking those 3 lots and paving them complete, where's the water going to go? And no matter what retention you put on the properties, because you're going to put a retention pond in, that's now taking up more space. And the gentleman who has the property behind him, I feel bad for him because he bought the property 20 years ago. The property was zone residential and now we're gonna go and change it. Think about what you're doing when you're doing this. Think if that was your house. Think if that was your parents' house, your brother, your sister, your aunt, uncle, whoever's house. With going and rezoning and what the difference that makes for that family. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there another comment for anyone present? Please come up.
Saki yourself at 37 Longview Avenue. So Longview is a nice residential neighborhood in like the proposal I hear is because mainly the current owners of those lots could sell to some car dealers. But that will come at the cost of the neighbors in that residential area, including me. And I would think that would be unfair. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else that has a comment present for this public hearing? RJ, who do we have on Zoom?
I didn't have anyone sign up on Zoom.
Okay. All right. Since there's no further public comment, this public hearing is not closed. We normally close the public hearings when we start them, but this one will continue to December 13th. I just wanted to make that, and the vote will be December 22nd, I think it is our next meeting. 20th, excuse me, 20th, right? Okay, all right, let's go to our second public hearing, tentatively identified as ordinance number 1519, which is the 2022 budget. Tom?
We briefly just wanted to do a quick review, high-level review of the proposed budget. Budget as proposed includes $16,400,000. I'm sorry, $16,685,000 for the general fund. $1,478,000 for the American Rescue Plan funds, $4.2 million for capital, and then transportation district at $127, assessment fund just $4,100, and state aid fund of $837,400 for a total budget for the town of $23,391,000. Overall, that represents a 9% change from prior year, and the majority of that change is a result of the addition of the American Rescue Plan funds. We have sorry.
Do you want this one or the next one?
No, this is fine. Of this, you have $12,800,000 in tax revenue. The important factor here is that there is no proposed tax increase for the coming year. We have various other funds or dollars coming in and out of the budget to bring us to that $23 million total. And overall, our spending is up just slightly over prior years. Go ahead. Wanted to touch base very quickly on the capital improvement fund. We are proposing a $1.2 million road paving project. We have a number of stormwater projects that we are planning, and we will be starting work on the town hall renovations, primarily HVAC and heating and window replacement for the coming year, as well as picking up purchasing some pieces of equipment that we had not been able to purchase in prior years. Let's just go on. Generally speaking, the budget is a no-frills budget. We have kept costs in line as much as we possibly could. We have included a couple of positions that we had been holding off on budgeting last year because of the unknown factors of the pandemic. So we have made, because we have some revenue improvement over what we had anticipated, we have budgeted police position and public works position that had not been filled prior. And we've also proposed purchasing some equipment that we had held off during 2021 because of the pandemic. Questions from the council? I mean, I know that we've gone over this and over this, so I just wanted to leave this at a real high level for your purposes and allow the public to make comments. Any questions or comments?
Just a comment. We had talked about getting a sheet of when the vehicles were purchased, when they're due. And I was wondering where you are with that.
We have that together and we'll get that out there.
Okay.
Any other council comments or questions?
Are you able to send it? Just report? Okay. I'm just saying, we could send it out tonight.
Absolutely.
Are there comments on the budget from anyone present? Please come forward.
It's Joe Wall. I am a member of the Economic Development and Finance Committee for the Heritage Center. In the budget proposal, there is signage that is proposed for the Heritage Center. I urge council, almost on bended knee, to provide us with the opportunity to promote our Heritage Center. We've done great things at the Heritage Center over the course of the last year. First of all, I want to thank you for your appointment of me to the board. One thing is a consistent situation is people don't know that Heritage Center is there. And I've asked since I've been on the board, why is there such a resistance to put a message board up in front of the Heritage Center when you have all the ability to make it look like the Heritage Center, except having an electronic sign as part of the package? Now, I've heard different things. I've heard that we are worried about aesthetics. Well, we worry about aesthetics, then we have a giant sign out in front of North Allegheny High School. Coldwell Banker sign has been there since it was Northside Deposit Bank. And certainly anybody that's driving down McKnight Road certainly can see what happened with the signage at McCandless Crossing. I myself was in a panic tonight because I thought I was late for this meeting. Do you know why? Because we don't publicize the time of the meeting all that well. We have the ability to impact not just the Heritage Center, but we have the ability to impact the entire community. Whether it's this meeting, or it's a meeting of the Heritage Center, or it's the zoning. You have the ability to do that on a major thoroughfare that goes right through the heart of our community. I urge you to keep in the budget the monies that Mr. Grimm has put in for the signage. It's desperately needed. We feel very, very strongly that participation in the Heritage Center, which is one of the shining jewels of this area, would be positively impacted exponentially. Again, thank you for my appointment and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there another public comment? Please come up.
Hello. My address is 265 Moreland Road. I've been a resident of McCandless for 47 years. I'm here to speak to the council's decision to reject Northland Library's 2022 budget. I was a little girl when Northland first opened, and I remember the excitement of having our own library. Every Saturday, my whole family would get in the car and drive to the library on 3 Degree Road. As a child, the library was so exciting. All the books you wanted, puzzles, story times, summer programs, and more. What I didn't realize then, but what I know as an adult, is the vital role libraries play in preparing children for the future. A child wants to go to story time to hear books, sing songs, dance, and play with friends, not realizing that the librarian is a professional with a master's degree and training in early childhood literacy. Each story, each song is a building block in a child's intellectual development. Long before preschool or kindergarten, librarians are paving the path for future success in life. As a teen, I was able to walk to Northland. Whenever I had a paper due, a project to research, or just needed to study, I had a place to go. Again, this demonstrates how a public library is a vital part of our education system. When schools are closed for the day, the weekend, or the whole summer, your library and your librarians are there to help your children. After college, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. So there I was at the library, researching job opportunities and checking out books on resumes and cover letters. Public libraries play a vital role in workforce development, providing both online and print resources. Most importantly, librarians are there to assist in wading through complex and sometimes confusing websites. They help citizens get back into the workforce and back into paying their taxes. McCandless has a large population of seniors, and the library is important to them, or us, as I will be one of them soon. Many have lived here for years, paid their taxes, raised their children, and are looking forward to a well-deserved retirement. They turn to the library to help them figure out how to use their Kindle, how to research medical care options, or to enjoy leisure reading and learning. Most importantly, the library provides mental stimulation and social interactions that seniors need to keep their faculties sharp. The council's decision to reject an increase of $33,450 means that the 4 other contributing municipalities will also revert to the 2021 budget. This will result in a loss of $106,000 in expected revenue. Interestingly, what Northland asked for in 2022 is less than McCandless paid in 2019. There are many reasons why I can consider McCandless a first-rate place to live, and Northland Library is at the top of the list. The fact that McCandless residents have the highest circulation figures of Northland's 5 municipalities mean that many residents agree with me. I am very concerned that this reduction in funding will result in a loss of operating hours, resources, and services, and I believe it is the wrong decision. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else like to make a comment on the budget? Please come.
John Harrison. A couple things come to mind with hearing and reading what's gone on in the area with the library. I personally have 2 children that have used it for years. After school, they have an assignment or a book report or something that needs to be done, and they can't go to the library at the school because the school's closed. So they can walk up over the hill, go to the library. And I noticed that it just came out, I guess, today that we're having a holiday season festivities around Christmas time. And it comes to mind that I really wonder, we're going to go and spend, I don't know, $10,000, $20,000 on fireworks that lasts for one night for a period of 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. Or you could spend that money at the library. It could be used 365 days a year. So I just got to ask the question, how did we come up on spending money on fireworks and having a party when we've got shortfalls in budgets and that money could be spent other places better than sitting there watching it up in the air, it's gone. Or you could go 365 days a year. Think about it when you're voting on that budget. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else who's present? RJ, anyone signed up?
I want to speak. I just didn't want to get in anybody else's way.
Okay, please come forward.
Okay.
Everyone gets a chance. So
Everybody gets a chance, and it's been a long time since I've been here, and I actually had to come down because I couldn't hear on when I was trying to listen to the video feed on a question I had about the 9% increase in funds.
Thank you for that, for giving us that feedback about that people can't hear.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with the mics. My only suggestion would be anyone who has laptops with sound on, mute your sound and move them as far away from the mics as possible.
That has nothing to do with my problem with listening. It was definitely coming from this side of not hearing.
Yeah, she's talking about our computers.
Yeah, I mean the audio.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can you just get your name?
It's Alice Beckett Rumberger, 9996 Parkland Drive.
996, Parkland?
Mhm.
Proceed. I'm sorry to. Sorry to interrupt you.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
So this is a big budget. It's in the millions of dollars. I'm here to speak. Looking at the budget in general, there are some things and areas that I actually had a question about. The expenditures of the buildings and the plant seem to be a big jump in expenditures. They're almost double than what they were before. So I'm not sure why they're doubled there. I know that we've asked, and I'm sure council has asked, that the budget be reviewed and we looked at. But what I'm asking mostly is about the very small increase in the library funds. The library is something that's very near and dear to myself. It's very near and dear to the township of McCandless, where we sit and we house it. To me, I was there the other day. It's full of kids from high school. In the daytime, it's full of people, especially during the pandemic. It was really needed when people were trying to get assistance from federal dollars, when people were trying to use the computer labs. The library serves a vital purpose. And sometimes we're not there every day because we can be at a socioeconomic status where we can buy a book from Amazon. But will our landfills really love that we're buying books and discarding books and we're not doing something with our books? No, we can donate our books to the library for the book sale. When you don't have to buy those books, we don't have to give them away. We have a library resource. But people think the library is only about books. It is more than books. We don't have a community center here. We have rooms in the library that can be rented by the community. We have more than just books. We have a community resource. We have a safe place for kids to go after school, located at Carson. Maybe there's nobody home. Maybe they're going to meet a tutor. It is a place that we need. When I was a very young mom with very young children, the programs that the library did to improve the literacy of my children for free were invaluable. And they value every citizen here because it keeps kids in a safe place. It's only a small increase in the budget, but it is a great impact to the community. And I'm asking everybody to take a look at that. The other municipalities approved the budget. I'm hoping that we can have a pause so we can look at this budget and say, you know what, we can find that money for the library, for the community, for the people. That's it.
Thank you for your comment. RJ, the Zoom person.
We have one person on Zoom, that is Rita Martin. We're gonna send her a mic and camera request now.
Thank you, RJ. Good evening. I give a great big cheer to the three people who spoken before me because they expressed all of my feelings for the library. And I want to thank you, the council, for hammering out this 2022 budget and giving an explanation of the allocations. I'm so grateful that the budgets are online and able to be viewed. And Kim and Carolyn, it was under your leadership that this transparency came to be. Thank you also for answering questions that come up about the budget and allocations. I'm not an accountant and I would never presume to question the expenditure decisions that you've made because the councils know what the township needs. But it seems to me that when many on this council were elected, you were left holding the bag of things undone. This building, for example, has been in disrepair for the past 15 years, at least, because I know that it was discussed at meetings that far back and pushed off and pushed off and pushed off because, of course, we didn't have the funds. We don't want to raise taxes. I also know that the previous administration took money from perhaps the capital improvement funds and funneled it towards our $750,000 history center, or maybe it came from the transportation district fund, which could have supplied much needed machinery. So things get pushed and money gets juggled around and you're left with limited funds to do the things that need to be done. As I look across the second point, as I look across the general revenue collected by the town, it's very flat from 2018 to the present. At some point, all the new commercial development should have provided a lift to our revenue, but I don't see it in those years. Maybe it occurred prior to 2018, but between the Canlis Crossing and a few new housing plans and all the building going on in every little spot we have, it could be green, that certainly could have provided some revenue that we could support the things that we really need. And finally, when you compare McCandless spending on culture and recreation, it is pitiful in comparison to the communities around us. If the library takes up most of that budget, it's only because there's so little to speak of, and it is the heart of activities and services in this community. Because if you look at Pine and Hampton and Ross and their budgets, they support activities because they have activity centers and all kinds of things for their young and senior citizens, but they also support the library. Boy, they're able to find that money. Finally, when the library was created, all 5 municipalities agreed in writing to support its upkeep. Marshall, Franklin Park, Ross, Bradford Woods, and McCandless, and they created the Northland Library Public Authority to watch over the tax dollars that are given to the library to make sure they're spent wisely. The foundation was created much later, and it was sort of a friends of the library group to raise some money for those little extra things that the library might need. And the newer things, maybe like the learning garden that was created, that was all supported by the foundation and people who give their contributions. It was not meant to be and cannot be the money for that the municipalities can't make up for. I mean, in other words, it's not the municipalities fund. It belongs to the library and its supporters and those special projects. Raising taxes takes courage, but it seems there are many needs here. McCandless may be a town, but there's no sense of community. And the one place that gives us a semblance of that is Northland. So please look over that budget. There should be something there for our library. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else on Zoom?
I did get a sign up. That's Deb Sagan. Gonna
Okay.
send her a mic and camera request now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. I just want to say thank you for letting us all speak, and I can hear you very well. I'm not having a problem with my Zoom. And I've heard all the comments that came before me, and I am commenting on the budget as well.
I have been combing over the budget and like Rita, I am not an accountant. However, I'm trying to understand and I'm so grateful once again for the transparency in that regard. I know that many areas that are important have increased, as I saw when I looked at the budget, especially police protection, paving, grass cutting equipment. We have the best equipment in McCandless. They, even pick up our leaves at our doorstep. We're all about community beautification. And I just want to say that in the long run, if you look at the library, it is not just a place to go and get books. And of course, I'm talking about the increase for the library budget that they are requesting. It is, if you look at it, and I think some of the police would agree with me because they know my background, but the library is really violence prevention because it does give our community, young people especially, a place to go. I taught at North Allegheny Intermediate High School, and I would see kids going up to the library after school at 2:30. That was a place to hang out. And the library has worked very hard to make it an attractive place for our young people to go with a lot of activities. When I was doing research for activities in the town, I went to the library to try to find historical background on decisions that were made in the past because they have newspapers there. They have all different kinds of documents that other places don't store. Our libraries are very important to our society. It's not just a place to go and get a book. And our librarians have become digital wizards. There are computers there for people who cannot afford to have digital access in their homes. When I visit the library, I see people there on the computers, using them, adults and children, for their needs that they might not have at home. Not everybody has access to laptops and computers, as we are lucky to do. So I want you to really, I know when people are asking for money, as Rita said, to shift money around in the budgets, and I've handled many budgets, you have to find it somewhere else. And I would ask you to please go and look at the budget and see where you can find a little shift here and there to help maintain our library as we have come to know and appreciate it. I know I'm part of now the Activities Advisory Committee, and I really appreciate that we are trying to have more of a variety of activities in McCandless, but right now we don't have spots to hold these activities, and the library does, and they do hold them. And I do participate in a lot of the clubs, a few of the clubs that are held at the library. So I'm just one of the people here tonight to congratulate you on coming to ahead with this 2022 budget, because I know 21 was a bear, and hopefully we'll have some more funds from the new government proposals, and that might help us too. So if you can, please find it in your budget to move some things around and help the library so we don't have to start from square one. Thank you and have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else, RJ?
I didn't have anyone else sign up.
All right, this concludes the public comment on the budget ordinance. We will move on to the third public hearing, the tentatively identified ordinance number 1520, 2021, the budget reappropriation.
Good evening, council.
Yeah, we need a microphone.
Oh, sorry, we're playing
Musical computers tonight. Good evening, council. As part of the annual reappropriations for the 2021 budget, we need to report to you on items that we feel from the 2021 budget will exceed $5,000 or 10% of their original and 10% of their original line item budget. We don't have many this year, But we do have the additional monies that we received from the American Rescue Plan coming into the general fund for the beginning of 2021. As part of the American Rescue Plan, there is a revenue recovery aspect to that. The town between 2019 and 2020 lost approximately $1.4 million. We will be taking some of that money in 21 to spend on public safety equipment and public works machinery that was foregone either in 20 or 21. And now that this money has come about, we will take that opportunity to make some of those expenditures. The additional monies will be budgeted, as you saw in the 22 budget, in 23 and in 24. In addition to those items, there is also additional legal services money being planned, engineering from building and plant, and then police officer salaries for our officer in charge and legal services. These items will definitely be utilizing other line item budgets that did not perform as expected. So it'll be an in and an out in these cases. There will not be additional revenues necessary to cover those additional line items at the bottom. If you have any questions on the reappropriation ordinance, I'm happy to address them at this time or after the meeting.
Are there any comments from council? So this is basically, you look at the money, you
It's
know, I'm the
housekeeping.
bottom line
Yes.
person. You look at all the money at the end of the year and you're like, okay, we were short in this one, we had extra in this one, so we were supposed to keep things where they're supposed to be and then count because council decided where they were going to be. So now we have to decide to kind of move these things around a little bit. And that's why it's reappropriation.
This is what I like to call a housekeeping item. It's something we do every year to let you all know where we're at with the budget line items, where we need to pull additional funds from or to. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Where were we? We were 1.4 million short.
last year.
Between the GFOA, which is the Government Finance Officers Association, is a national organization. They put out a template where I took 16, 17, 18, and 19's revenues, plugged them into a formula spreadsheet, compared that to what I had in 20, and it came up about $1.4 million short over the course between as effects of COVID. And we'll continue to do that exercise in 21 and 22 to see if there's additional effects that we could take into the general fund.
But we did a budget reappropriation mid-year.
We did that in, yes, we did that in 20. And so because of that, we were in that much better of shape for this money to come in.
Right. Okay. If there aren't any other council comments, I'll take public comment.
Thank you.
Is there anyone present who would like to speak to the budget reappropriation? All right. Oh, come forward.
I just have a question about that budget. Back. Okay, so my question is then, so essentially to me, I do understand it's a housekeeping issue, but a little bit more explanation about how the $1.54 million, the shortage versus actual shortage versus actualized shortage, and where this money goes.
So this is
If you
This is-
your information, we can speak on it.
right, if she can contact you, because this is a public comment time.
Right.
So if you have a comment, we would be.
Okay,
glad
so
to hear
the
on
comment
this.
is, I'm just curious then about that.
And Trish will be glad to correspond with you, or like by email, whatever, and help answer all your questions.
Okay,
about that.
thanks.
Okay. Are there any other comments from anyone present? Okay, RJ, do you have anyone?
I did not have anyone in the chat sign up, no.
Okay. All right, then the public comment for the budget reappropriation is closed. We will go to reports of committees. The first committee, Administration and Finance Committee.
First up is to review the checklisting number 10 that is in the packet. If anybody has any specific questions for Trish before we entertain a motion. Questions? can I make the motion? Or do I need
Sure,
to call for the
no,
motion?
go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to move to approve check listing number 10 dated October 1st, 2021 to October 31st, 2021, totaling $1,120,712.17 as submitted to each member of council, posted on the bulletin board and town website.
Second.
Okay, I think Councilmember Swiger got in there. Okay, any other comments? Hearing none, all those in approving checklist of bills indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is to review the monthly financial summary and dashboard report that was shared with council and public. Anyone have a question of Trish? Hearing none. Trish.
Thank you.
Next up, the McCandless Industrial Development Authority had no meeting. Item 4, the report for North Hills Council of Governments.
Essentially, the biggest part of that meeting, we did pass the budget, and there will be no rate increase for any of the municipalities. And they did pass that we can extend our leaf collection to December.
Great. Thank you. Next up is the Pittsburgh North Regional Chamber of Commerce, which is me. There was no meeting this month due to the holiday. We'll be meeting next. Report of the grant writer. Yeah,
Yes, report, a summary was submitted in your council packet. Just want to let you know, I am following up, trying to talk with our local nonprofits as a possible avenue for partnership. Haven't heard back yet, but I'm hoping to be able to offer more options on that front here in the future. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Report of the Budget Committee.
Budget Committee is about done for this year.
Good report.
That's it.
Report of junior council member. That was in the file. You have to.
Good evening, council.
Hi.
My report was submitted in your packet. Does anybody have any questions about this one or the last one, since I was not at that meeting? Nope.
I don't think
All
so.
right.
Thank you.
Well done, thank you.
Thank you.
And the last one is public comment on administration and finance committee items.
Is there any public comment of anyone here? How about anyone in Zoom?
I've not seen anybody
Okay,
type in.
okay,
That concludes our report.
okay. Report of Planning and Zoning Committee. The zoning report is in your packet. Discussion on zoning ordinance proposals.
So everyone received a copy of RJ's staff report on the review that we have done for the proposed zoning amendments. And we'll have the action later on in the meeting, but after a review of 7 proposals, interviewing 5 firms, the scoring that RJ and I did on each of the proposals and the interviews was very similar. I think we were very consistent in our scoring, and it would be our recommendation that Michael Baker be the firm selected to, and they will be doing major modifications of zoning ordinance as well as the subdivision and land development ordinance. The combination of their expertise, the financial elements with the proposal, and just the overall team was impressive. And we believe given what we would like to be able to accomplish with the zoning ordinance. They were able to exhibit a great deal of experience in that type of zoning rewrite. So I think that it's a good fit for our organization and Michael Baker.
And that motion is under 11H. Should we take comments now or should we take them then before the motion?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Just a little, I don't know if they can throw this in, but if they're working on the maps and zoning, and I'm sure they have the technology to really hit this hard, we would love to have a new ward map that's user-friendly for the town, where something that if you punch in your address, you find out which ward you're in and you can get a picture of it, because right now what we have is essentially a PDF
Yes.
that you try to blow up, and unless you have Zoom powered superhero glasses or eyesight, you can't see where you
It's
are.
getting harder each year for
Yes.
me to see that.
Because I know I need to pull out the heavy duty ones out of deep in my bag
Yeah.
to see that ward map. And I would love, I know it's not part of what the assignment is for them, but if they, it'd be a just nice little icing on the cake. If we had-
Look at doing that through a GIS web app right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the data to compose.
Okay,
that, so we can put
because I
that on
figured
the
they'd be
list.
playing with maps quite a bit
Oh,
with this.
I'd love to play with that.
And that might be something for the website update.
Yeah.
That would, I think, even maybe a better place.
We have some options for how to get. it.
Okay,
That's
cool.
doable.
Okay, it just reminded me when I saw the proposal that they presented, that they had, real strong capabilities in that. That would be a nice little thing I'd like to have personally. Thank you.
So we'll, once we get to that motion, we'll entertain more questions then. So you can hold your questions for that. Planning Commission, you have a report there. There's a couple of things coming forward. Nothing else. Zoning Hearing Board.
I just want to note that the meeting will be a week early again in December, which will be December 15th, and there will be a full agenda, from what I understand of that meeting.
All right, are there any public comments on the Planning and Zoning Committee items that we just reviewed? Please come forward.
In listening to the conversation on the maps, the county has a map that everybody has all their, is there any way of us possibly tapping into the county map for where everybody's assessments are done? Because it has all the plot numbers, it has everything, it's there, it just doesn't have the zoning. So if you were able to grab that database from the county and then modify it, that would be one good use. The other thing is, as far as the company you're talking about hiring, do they work for any other local municipalities in the area? Do they do work for, say, Hampton? Do they do work for Deer Lakes? Do they do any of the ones that are there?
They have not done any work in the North Hills lately.
Okay.
They have worked in Findlay Township, Allegheny County. They've worked in other communities that are very similar to McCandless, population-wise, demographically. Because part of my review was that they did look at that. I looked at the other communities to see what they've done.
And that was part of our scoring as well, actually.
Yeah.
They were one of the highest. scored
Yeah,
communities on some-
So while they haven't done a lot specifically in the North Hills, they've done a lot of similar communities.
Is that information on the website? Is that part of the supporting
We
documents?
did not make the readers public.
Okay,
All the
okay.
proposal details are confidential for award.
Okay, until awarded. Okay, all right. So that will
So then
be,
we will.
and then, but then we can,
I'd be happy to take, more detailed questions.
And when that is awarded, what is the length of that contract? Is that a 1 year? Is that a 5 year? Is it a?
So they are done.
It's like a whole rezoning plan.
Okay,
The scope proposal is about a year. And that's a pretty standard amount of time for a full zoning ordinance and comprehensive update. So, I mean, ultimately, it's depending on how long it takes, but about a year.
And when was the last time that was done?
Well, our current zoning structure has been in place since, I believe, 1978.
Wow. Looks like somebody was asleep at the wheel for quite a while. I don't know whether to wake up, but thank you for waking up and deciding to actually look at it, because that's quite a time to not look at something. I got for now, thanks.
Thank you for your comment. That would go to our land use administrator. Shout out for that being her idea and her push. Any other comments? Any other comments on Zoom?
Deb Sagan, she said a question about maps. Deb, I'm gonna unmute you just in case this is a public comment that fits this, but if you have more map questions that don't fit this, give me an email.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I follow up on Mr. Harrison's comment. Thank you so much for doing this. Surprised that we haven't done it for so long. And I don't know if this is appropriate for this type of map with, but it does kind of fit in with the zoning. I've been working with other communities with a connectivity aspect. So, you know, I guess the park land will be included in this zoning. I just want to make sure that that's included and that's highlighted. And the question about working with other communities, there is some grant funding out there that can be accessed, you know, if we are connecting with other communities as far as our trails and bike paths and things like that go. So I hope that'll be part of the zoning map project. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comment. Anyone else, RJ, for Zoom?
I did not have anyone else sign up on.
Recreation Committee?
Thank you. Number one, the Activities Advisory Committee. Just a couple of things in addition to what's in your packet. As council, as President Zach already mentioned, we do still have positions available on that committee, and we've seen so many wonderful applicants come forward with these other committees, and I'd love to hear from you and possibly get you involved in the Activity Advisory Committee. We did have a bingo last Thursday evening with a very special guests of Sergeant Madden and Officer Joy. I hope you caught that photo on our social media. Joy was a blast. It looked like he was actually calling out bingo numbers, and we had a really fun time. Thanks for sharing them with us, Chief Hawk. And also just to remind everybody about Winterfest on the 18th. And there's no more questions. We'll move on to number two, the Financial Development and Promotion Committee for the Heritage Center. Mr. Smith.
Yep, the latest minutes from last week are in your folder. They'll be doing something in connection with the Winterfest, but I don't think they've decided on exactly what yet. Unfortunately, I had to miss the meeting because the interviews for the MTSA candidates conflicted with this meeting. So that was kind of the higher priority, was to do those interviews. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
I think I did just see that they are going to, for Winterfest, have a couple of children's story hours.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is a really nice addition to the day. And I do want to ask that you please remind the committee that we have the project form that gets submitted to council for approval for larger projects. And I know that the committee's been talking about some major projects like a golfing day and things like that that will require the spending of funds and so forth. So if possible, they need, to remind everybody that we have that project form. It should be filled out to gather the ideas and make sure that the council's aware of things before they get too far involved. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
And nothing further. Yep.
I have a question for David. The sign, the digital sign that they want, did they do a study to see that they weren't hitting their targets, but through social media and email blasts and different why was it focused on that sign? And then my follow-up would be, maybe they're tied together, is why there and why not town hall?
So to the first question, I do not believe anything like that was undertaken. Bob, you might.
I'm not aware of anything.
So I don't think they've done anything along those lines for that. As to the second question, I think one of the comments that I know that I've repeated to them is any type of signage for that should be viewed as more of a township sign. You know, so like there have even been discussions of, instead of being right outside of the Heritage Center, maybe it's down at the corner of whatever, Coomer down there, right? You know, so maybe it's up a block so that it's at kind of an intersection instead of it. So there's some ideas kicking around about that. Bob, you may know better. I don't know if you've had discussions.
No, I mean, other than trying to find a location other than mid-block, there hasn't been a great deal of discussion because anything budgeted wasn't for this current year, so there was still time to discuss it.
But I think to the point of your question is, I think the idea is because, you know, that's such a high traffic area, is that, you know, I think the idea is to have it somewhere in that stretch instead of on Grubbs Road coming up the back way. But it would be much more of a community sign than a Heritage Center specific sign, is the way, at least I'll say, that my input has gone.
Thank you.
Is there no further questions? Number 3, the Community Day Subcommittee, there was not a meeting for this group. And that leaves us to public comments.
Is there any public comment for the Recreation Committee? Anyone signed up?
Got one.
Okay.
Was Paul Peckman, 10/5/29 Abbey Lane. Paul, I am sending you a mic and camera request now.
Good evening. I just wanted to make a comment about the sign at the Heritage Center and the location. Certainly, since the ambulance authority has the corner lot that would give you traffic both on Grubbs and on Inglemoor Road, that would seem like a better location, everything considered. And have we looked at sponsorships for signs anywhere in the town? Because as I've driven around recently and noticed some of our other community signs, the advertising they do, both on the signs and under the signs with sponsored by and things like that, is that a way to help pay for something like this? I think it's great to have that to get the word out, but it would be better to have it paid by someone else. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
To that point, I do know that there were discussions regarding some kind of sponsorship ideas. I don't know where they led, but I do at least know that they have considered it and may very well still be considering it. I just don't know. But I think anything like that, I think the view of the committee is that it would need council's approval just because of, you know, because it's going to be more of a community sign and because it's an authority of the township. You know, that would be something that would come before us, I would think.
You're correct. Yes, that's correct. Anything else for recreation?
No, that concludes the recreation report.
Town manager's report?
You've all received a copy of the town manager's report in your folders. The only item that I wanted to just highlight, bring to your attention, was the information that I was able to provide to you regarding the Route 19 sidewalk project. We have heard from the Department of Community and Economic Development that the funds cannot be used for other locations. So it would be, you know, my recommendation that we would try to move forward then with the project as planned and work with Gateway to keep that price at the $406,000 that we were allotted for in the grant application. So, any questions on that or any other part of my report?
I did have a question on that. It seemed like they were indicating that we'd be able to use it elsewhere. Did they give a reason for the shift?
The contract with the DCED has language in it that allows for the request of an amendment to the contract. In speaking with Senator Williams' office, who contacted Department of Community and Economic Development, we did speak to whether or not we would be able to use that money at a different location, and DCED firmly indicated that they would not entertain a change of location for this project. There's no other reason given, just saying that they would not.
They just said. Okay, great.
Anything else from town manager's report?
Nothing that I have.
Town attorney's report?
My report was part of the packet, and I'm happy to answer any questions offline or in an executive session. That's the end of my report.
Council will take a 5-minute recess. All right, thank you. There's no old business on the agenda. Is anyone aware of any old business? Okay, well then, let's move on to new business. You want to take this one?
Okay, the first item is consideration of the preliminary and final subdivision land development application submitted by Adam Ventures Incorporated for 485 Pine Creek Road. The proposal is contingent on items being addressed within our staff report, as well as the town engineer's report, including approval of modification that was outlined in that staff report. Mr. Adamick is here, present if there's any questions for him. This has been an ongoing project. I believe it's a 10-lot subdivision at this point. 10 residential lots. Then the proposal now includes an easement area and an area identified for dedication to the town for stormwater improvements as well. We've been working long and hard with Mr. Adamick and his associates to try to come up with this project. RJ, thank you for putting this in front of everyone. The area that you see on your screen in purple, I guess I'll call it, is to be dedicated to the town. Right, I have that right. I have the colors right, don't I?
The pink.
The pink.
Pink.
It's pink?
It's pink.
Okay.
To a colorblind guy, that's all the same color. So just pointing that out.
Okay, the pinkish purple area is to be dedicated to the town. And the blue, that is blue, right?
I think it's blue.
Okay.
So boys and girls.
Will be dedicated as easements as property that will be sold to various individuals.
Yes, sir.
So
Is the blue, that section on the left and then that section on the bottom?
both sections.
Yes.
Okay, and then the purple is the, no, like I literally can't tell the difference
Oh,
between the colors.
the purple is almost like a reverse L shape.
Okay, that's what I kind of thought, but.
Yeah. So both of those areas together comprise about 10 acres.
Approximately 11 acres.
11 acres. We will be then, once that's done, the town will be looking at designs of stormwater improvements in that area. The intent would be that it would include the creation of riparian buffer areas, stormwater detention, and just perhaps a walking and education trail around to improve people's understanding of stormwater issues. It's been a process, but I think it's involved the town attorney, RJ, Adamek, Mr. Adamek and his partners. And I think we're finally at that point when we can take action and or consider it and take action.
All right, is there a motion? Councilmember Sponholz.
I move to approve the preliminary / final subdivision / land development application submitted by Adamek Ventures, Inc., located at 485 Pine Creek Road, block lots 1070-E-60 and 1069-H-52, contingent upon all items being addressed as identified in the Planning and Development Staff Report dated November 16, 2021, and the Town Engineers Review Letter dated November 17, 2021. Plan approval includes approval of modification request number 2 as identified in the attached staff report.
Is there a second? Okay, Councilmember Schweiger. All right, are there any comments or questions from council? Okay.
This is a comment. Number one, I'm strongly in favor of this. Number two, though, I'd like to thank everyone who worked on this. This was a long process, a lot of moving parts, a lot of stuff. Bob and RJ and the town staff, Steve, attorney, President Zachary, you've been working on this for a couple of years. Everybody else on council, and Mr. Adam. I think this is a great proposal. And Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, if I remember correctly, we can utilize this land and easement to manage something like 1.6 million gallons of stormwater, right?
That's correct.
And just imagine the downstream benefits of being able to do this. And we all know that stormwater is a huge issue in the town right now. This whole proposal is, to me, phenomenal. So thank you, everybody who put in all the time and the effort and the thought to getting this pulled together.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from council? Okay, is there anyone present who has a comment to make? Please come forward.
I feel like I've seen you before.
Yep.
We're not sure.
It's hard to tell it.
Be glad that COVID was here. I respect everything, all the work that's gone into this. I respect your comments, Mr. Smith. Mike, one question comes to mind is this gentleman is giving property to the borough, which means now we are responsible for that water retention pond. Well, if he kept it himself, he's responsible for it as it goes to the deeds of the properties that are tied to it. So it's great for him. It's bad for you. Why are we taking on this responsibility and this liability? It's a great idea that it's going to retain, you can hold that X million gallons of water. But we are now, as a borough, as a town, responsible for maintaining that pond. So where are we coming up with that money? Is there a bond or something that's floated for this? I mean, how does that all come to be? We're all signing off on this, but you're basically signing on to more debt. Has that been thought about? Is he putting the retention ponds in at his dime after he sells the property? Or does the borough have to pick up the tab for the retention ponds? If the borough's picking up the thing for the retention ponds, it's a horrible idea. I mean, you don't have to, it doesn't have to go very far to sit there and think about that. So I have to ask those questions before you go and vote. Are you voting to take on more debt? More responsibility? If we are, sorry I voted for you if that's the case. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any other comments? Anyone present? Anything on Zoom?
I don't have anyone.
Did you have a comment?
Signed
Can I
up.
add a comment?
Yes, you may.
I'll make it quick. I just wanted to say thank you. This has been a long process. I think we're at the end of the road here. And I know Mr. Graham has had his plate full with the budget and all the year end stuff. And RJ has been super busy, but last, 30 to 60 days, everyone's been super responsive. Not that they haven't been before, but really trying to get us to the finish line here and work out all the loose ends. So I just wanted to thank you guys. Thank you, RJ and Mr. Graham and Dan. I think we have a good plan for the project and fill the gentleman in with the details at a later time as to
Great.
how it'll work and benefit the community, but thank you.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Madam President, if I could add something, it's my understanding that the units that are going in, the stormwater management that's normally associated with that is still required of
Yes.
those units.
Yes, it is.
So the new units going in, the developer has the same requirements as any other development going in for stormwater. This, I'll call it extra land. There was no obligation to do anything with it. And just by it sitting there, that's not going to manage the stormwater in as efficiently as it can be. And there's no reason for a private party to want to improve the efficiency of the stormwater management of that because they don't have to. There's no reason for it because they're doing everything they're required to do aside from that. So it's not that we're letting the developer off the hook, so to speak, for the development. They still have to do the stormwater management for that development. This is other land that we can use as part of the township's overall stormwater management plan, which if you've been following for the last few months in particular, we're going to be getting more stringent requirements from the state coming down in the next 2 years, year and a half. And those requirements are going to cause us to have to spend money on stormwater management. And so this can be a first step in that process.
Very nice explanation. Is there any other comment that you see, RJ?
Sorry, since this is new Zoom procedures, I just want to clarify, are we doing comments as well after every
Motion.
Oh, okay.
Yes, this is,
Everyone listening at home, I apologize. I directed you to the non-agenda item comments at the end. That was incorrect. You can put in a comment on any of the voting items too as well.
right. Just let us know which one, sir, you can be coming up while I'm talking to her. Just let us know which ones you want to make comments on so we know when to call you up. Call you forward. All right. Name and address.
Hi, Sam Camerata, 530 Pine Creek. I know that's been a long project with the Pine Creek development. You guys have worked hard at it and I appreciate it. In fact, I think it's going to be a plus for the community if we can help with the flood. My question is on the map. Could you explain to me what that purple, pink, whatever color that is? Who owns that property? You're talking easements, which means you're allowed on the property, but you don't own it. Is that correct?
We will own the pink.
Okay.
You see the thing up there? We will own the pink. The blue is the easement that they're giving us to be able to also use for stormwater management, but we will not own the blue, just the
Okay.
pink.
So the blue parts are still part of some of the property owners.
Yes,
And you have an easement to go onto that if you need to. Does that also require them not to do anything with that property that's in the blue? For example, if you go up to Barrington, there's a swimming pool 15, 20 feet from the creek. my question is how do we control what they do with that piece of property if we don't own it?
It's their property.
Okay, so you're saying an easement, what will we do with it as it being an easement?
That's what we're talking about for stormwater management.
Okay,
It would
but
be
you couldn't put a
stormwater.
retention pond there. Is that correct?
There's
On the blue
other-
area.
There's other stormwater management we can do, which is not a detention pond.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
riparian buffers, for example.
okay, but they're able to utilize that property.
Yes, it's
The
theirs.
homeowners,
It's
okay.
theirs.
But the pink areas are the township only.
Will
Okay,
be.
thank you. I really do appreciate how hard you've worked at this.
Thank you. Did anyone come up? Okay. All right, one more here.
Jack Casey, 10030 Timbara Court. I just have one question. I know what the pink represents, but I don't see the access to this property. Is that access the responsibility for us to build? Because it could be quite costly. And if it's access to their property, they should be responsible for the payment and development of that conduit or whatever it is.
They have an easement.
Yeah, the access drive is, it's kind of hard to see because it's in gray, but I'm sort of circling it with the pointer. That access drive is almost entirely outside of the property donation. So that would be the responsibility of the developer to construct entirely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comment. RJ?
Well, let me take the screen share down. I don't believe I've had anyone on Zoom that has signed up to comment.
Okay. All right, then that is the end of public comment. We have a motion and a second. All those in, does everyone still remember what we're voting on? Okay. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. All right, the next one is the second part of this, which we've talked about already. And this is the authorization for the president of council and the town manager to execute an easement agreement. This easement agreement that we're talking about.
Last one was for the pink and this is for the blue.
Sort of. We'll be doing the pink at a future meeting, once they're able to record the plan.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Is there, the floor is open for motion. Okay.
Motion to authorize the council president and town manager to execute an easement agreement between Pine Creek Holdings 2019 LP and the town of McCandless for property to be used for flood plan and storm water management purposes.
Second.
Okay. Second by Councilmember Smith. All right. Any additional questions from council on this?
Everything I said 15 minutes ago applies to this.
Okay, ditto on that. Okay. Any comments from anyone present? Any Zoom comments?
I don't have anyone signed up.
Okay. Going once, twice. All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Page 3. All right, these are nominations. These are nominations for committees that we've had interviews and for appointments. The floor is open. Does the nomination committee, Carolyn, did you decide you wanted to do this or am I doing this?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Okay, so I would like to ask that we table this motion, being that Matt Shipley and I were not a part of the interview process. And I would like to ask that we are given the chance to be a part of this process.
And Madam President, I am abstaining from any vote or discussion on this because I was one of
You're
the
an applicant,
applicants. So
okay.
I just wanted to point that out.
Well, there's not, you can motion to table, Councilmember Schweiger, but there isn't a motion on the floor to table yet. So there would have to be a motion and a second. I mean, unless you're making unless you want to make a motion, usually you don't make a motion to table until there's already a motion on the table. So I think we have to get to the point where there's a motion, and then you can table it at that point. Or you can make the motion to
You want
table.
me to make the motion and then table it then?
Well, somebody should make a motion for an appointment here, then you can move to table it. There is, once there's a second, there is no debate on the motion to table and a vote is taken. And then if it passes, then it's tabled until it's not, until council puts it back on the agenda. And if it fails, then council will then address the underlying motion.
All right, so let me make sure that I have this right. We need a motion, and then if we table, there's no discussion, straight to a vote. Okay. Okay, so is there the way we do this is there a motion from the nominating committee for to appoint a member to the personnel board? The nominating committee decided to nominate David Smith for the personnel board for the term to expire 12/31 to 24. Are there any other motions? Are there any other nominations?
I would like
All
to
right.
nominate Amy Warspan, but I really would prefer to have a motion where we could table this until we could further do the interviews and then complete the process.
All right. Are there any other nominations? All right, there are no further nominations.
Is there a second on the motion?
Is there a second on this motion?
Your motion?
The motion, well, we would have to go around and do a roll call for both two different people. Okay.
So you can vote Smith or Warspan, or after a second, someone could make a motion to table.
What do we second? Which of the nominations? Or just
So
vote?
what we have done before with this is went around roll call and each person said who they would vote for. So I don't know where the table would fit into this,
It doesn't
in
make
other
sense.
words, because once we have the motion, once we have two people on the table, then we just go around.
Well, someone can second either nominee at this point as a motion,
Okay,
and then we can deal with the table.
okay, all right. Is there a second for either nominee? Yes.
Second the motion to appoint David Smith to the personnel board, term to expire 12/31.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Councilmember Schwager, do you have a motion?
Did you
Well, I
wanna
make a
make-
motion to appoint Amy Warspan to the personnel board for a term to expire.
I thought you wanted to table.
Well, I did, but I thought you said I have to have a second for that, so I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do now.
Well, no, once there's a second, there's a motion on the floor to appoint David Smith to the personnel board. So if you would like to make a motion to table that
Sure.
motion, that's your,
Yes, I would like to make a motion to table this.
Do I need a second for that?
yes.
Is there a second to table this motion?
Second.
Okay, all right, since
Roll
there,
call.
then a roll call vote. And this is for tabling this motion. All right, you want to call?
Sure. Word 2, word 3.
Voting to table if that's a nay or. you-
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Word 5,
Thank you. Nay.
Excuse me.
word 6,
Aye.
word 7,
Aye.
word 1,
Nay,
Motion to table is-
Fails.
Fails, 3-1, yeah, 3.
motion fails. So we will go back to a roll call vote to, what we'll do is we'll go by each ward, and you say whether you want David Smith or Amy Warspan. Okay, that's where we are right now, right?
That's fair. Yep.
Okay, all right.
Ward two,
Smith. Not on appointments. Right? Wait.
We can allow public comment at this point.
Okay, sorry. I thought we didn't have, okay, so we'll have public comment. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Matthew Lucas. I serve as an alternate on the Personnel Board. I understood this vote was happening tonight and was told about it and wanted to share my concerns with council because I believe the process to handle this has not been, to fill this seat, hasn't been fair, very appropriately handled at this point. Understanding that the interviews for the open seat were held by our town council president, Ms. Zachary, as well as our newest member of the Personnel Board, Brian Sullivan, who was just appointed to the board in August. I'm asking council why the liaison to the Personnel Board Committee, council members Carolyn Schweiger wasn't included in the interviews. I'm asking why the vice chair of the Personnel Board, Matthew Shipley, was also not involved in conducting the interviews, which I believe he's required to be. That's how it's written. And he wasn't even included them. But instead, Mr. Sullivan, who has 2 meetings under his belt, that's his experience with the Personnel Board, was involved in the interviews. It's my understanding that they were both available for these interviews, but weren't allowed to be part of them. My concern is there's an attempt to unseat a current member, Amy Worspen, who serves as the board chair, to replace a seasoned and experienced volunteer to then have a brand new member brought on when the Personnel Board is in the middle of trying to get the regulations for new hires together, still finishing up with the promotions and how that should move forward in future. It seems like a bad timing to do something like this. I was asked by Town Manager Grimm back in October if I wanted to be considered for the open seat, given that Chairperson Worspen was reapplying for her seat. I replied I didn't, because I didn't want to do anything that would get in the way of her appointment for that reappointment, because I believe she's doing a fantastic job and is fully invested in the process and everything we've been doing. I also told him that I hoped what happened to me would not happen to her. I would ask council to examine the process thus far and take action to correct it. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Is there any other comments?
Madam President, I know I said I'd abstain from the discussion, but hearing the comments, a couple comments, I would be uncomfortable accepting the nomination tonight with the reservations that have been expressed. So my preference would be, I don't know if the motion to table can be revisited. I'm perfectly willing to redo interviews or whatever else would be asked of any further process. But given the reservations that the liaison and one of the members have given, I would feel uncomfortable accepting a nomination under those circumstances.
Bob, did we use the usual protocol for establishing these meetings that we always use?
yes, we use the same process that we have used for finding a time to meet. And
was everyone notified about those times?
Everyone was included in the email chain to determine the best time to hold the meetings.
Okay, let me say something here. You guys did not try hard enough to make sure Matt and I can be involved. I have my kids on Thursday nights. I cannot be cooking dinners and deal with homework and performing an interview. You have not done your job, and this is not fair to our town, to everyone who volunteers for this board. I find it highly disturbing that this quick little fast motion is occurring in front of my face right now. I do not find this appropriate because every other meeting, we make sure the liaison is capable of being there. You keep doing this to me for every meeting and I'm done. The board is done. We are done being treated as we do not matter. Meetings need to happen when we can be there, not when we are not able to be there. I'm disgusted with what has just happened to us as a council.
Can I
You
make
should
a,
be ashamed of yourselves.
Do you have a, I think we have a motion on the floor already, unless it's a motion that would take over that.
Sorry.
my motion at this point be to table this.
Yeah, we should take that on.
I want to make sure you all know, if this was happening to you all, I would have your back and I would afford you the opportunity to make sure you got your chance to be a part of what you've been serving on a committee, to have that opportunity to interview the candidates. You have my word. It is documented. I would stand up here and have every one of your backs now and in the next year.
Okay, Christine, I am not sure of your name or address. If you could please state that for the record when we bring you on the camera. I've sent you a mic and camera request.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Christine Shipley, and I live 9690 Buckingham Drive, Allison Park, PA.
Thank you.
Yes, I find it highly inappropriate that the vice chairman and the committee personnel board member were not at this meeting. That is just very disturbing that somebody usurped their authority and they put a new person who's only been on the board a couple months to do these interviews. A seasoned person such as Amy, who gives her free volunteer time and is highly respectable in her job as a human resources director, highly paid, and she gives her free service, and you guys don't even give her the opportunity to run again. I just can't understand this. This is pathetic and very disturbing that you usurped Carolyn Schweiger's authority as the personnel board to run these committee interviews and the vice chair. I don't know what kind of town council would do that. It's very disturbing. And I think that everybody should know that you did not allow that committee personnel board member to be there, or the vice chair. And Amy is a wonderful person and volunteered a lot of time, very seasoned. You should not put somebody in there that is not very seasoned and that has not been on this personnel board for a long time. And you definitely should never have meetings without the vice and that personnel board member. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Did you want?
Still taking comments from the floor here as well?
Yes, we are.
Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, because I definitely study Robert's Rules of Order a lot because of the many boards that I'm on. So you can make a motion to lay them prior to voting. So you can do that. Before any vote happens, you can immediately say that you would like to make a lay of the motions. That means to postpone those motions until further notice. So you can definitely do that in and according to Robert's Rules of Order, which is not really a legal matter, but more a parliamentary procedure. So they're understood. So you can do that. It is so hard to be a public servant. Even harder is to be a dedicated volunteer to our community. I've been to these meetings and I should probably come more regularly, but I don't, because I trust the officials that we elect. And it sounds to me at this point that the best decision is to make a lay of the decision. And so we have transparency, because we all look for transparency in our local government. And it starts with every one of you guys here. Knowing and understanding Robert's Rules of Order is very important. You can lay the order before a motion is even made. And I would ask right now, because I think you are in the middle of two different motions happening here and approving them, that you need to do a little rewind, set the motion in place so the vote can happen.
That's where I come in. Can I do it?
Yes, you can do.
I have to wait for the president.
Okay,
Madam
yes.
President, I'd like to make a motion to table this, this vote.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. There's no discussion. So all those in favor, we'll see if there's any dissent. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
To table?
To table.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion is tabled. Okay, the next, the floor is open for the nominating committee to make a nomination for the zoning hearing board for the term 12/31/24.
Madam President, the nominating committee would like to appoint Mike McGraw to the zoning hearing board for a term to expire 12/31/24.
Are there any other nominations? All right, hearing none. Councilmember Schweiger, you seconded that?
Yes.
I need to call for discussion on this, since we did
Discussion
on the
on that.
others. Okay, all right, is there any discussion? Public comments? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. The motion is, the floor is open for the nominating committee for a nomination for an alternate with the term expiring of 12/31/24.
Madam President, the nominating committee would like to appoint Ann Clark to the zoning hearing board as an alternate for a term to expire 12/31/24.
Are there any other nominations? Is there any other, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any comments? Okay, so this is Trish. This is. Okay. All right, hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. The floor is open for a motion for the zoning hearing board for alternate for term expiring 12/31/24.
Madam President, the nominating committee would like to appoint Patrick O'Brien to the zoning hearing board as an alternate for a term to expire 12/31/24.
Are there any other nominations? Is there a second?
Second.
Any comment from the council? Questions? Any comment from the public? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The floor is open for the nominating committee for a appointment to the MTSA board for the term expiring 12/31/26.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Jim. Oh, wait, somebody say something? Oh. Like to make a motion to appoint Jim Forsey to the MTSA board for a term to expire 12/31/26.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any comment from any members of council?
Many thanks to the other applicants. We had multiple applicants for this position.
All right, any public comment? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. This is what we talked about earlier for a motion that Bob explained about the land development administrator and the town manager with the company Baker, is it Baker?
Michael Baker.
Michael Baker.
International.
Michael Baker. The floor is open for a motion.
question after the motion?
Yes. Okay, is there a motion?
Move to approve the recommendation of the Land Development Administrator and Town Manager for selection of a consulting firm to undertake the complete zoning and land development ordinance modernization for the town of McCandless.
Is there a second? Okay, respond holds. All right, are there any questions or comments by council? Councilmember Taro.
RJ, what dollar,
Perhaps as eager to answer as you are to ask.
what dollar amount are we contracting for? Because there's an 85,297, a 93,768, and 96,260. Like, what is the
Yeah,
lump sum?
so the expected, I mean, it's billable hours, but the hours that they've assessed most likely are that $93,000 sum. There is about $2,600. I'm sorry. There's about $2,600 that are an optional add-on for staff and council training on the new ordinances when they're implemented. We can decide that at a later time. I'm not sure why that 85 is in there. My guess when I originally looked at the proposal was there was maybe one line in an Excel calculation that got left out. Because everything does add up to the 93. Is it 670? I want to say
93,768.
3,768. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, that's like the contracted price that they discussed with us was the 93 and some change.
And that's the not to exceed. They'll bill hourly without not to exceed that.
Right. And I mean, we would hammer out the exact terms of the agreement, you know, with the town attorney, but I mean, that's what's being proposed.
Any other questions? Comments from council? Questions or comments from anyone present? RJ, do we have anyone on Zoom that has any comments?
Do not have anyone that has signed up on Zoom.
Okay. All right, hearing none. Public comment is closed. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So this, we talked about this, the sanitary authority came to a public hearing last meeting, and they need, we incorporate them and we give them so many years to be incorporated. We did the same thing for the library. They need to get some bonds, so they need us to incorporate them for 30 more years.
50.
Well, is it 50? Okay, I thought 50 was our max.
Yeah.
We can go out 50 years.
Out
So-
to 50, but they only need 30.
They're going to get the 50.
Oh, they need, oh, because they only have 20
Yeah.
already.
I thought that's what it was.
Okay, all right. I knew there was 30 somewhere. Okay. So we would be, so when we make this motion, do we need to put the date and years on here?
It's in the ordinance.
And that's good enough?
Yep.
Okay, all right. So is there the floor is open for motion.
Madam President, I will move to adopt an ordinance adopting an amendment to the Articles of Incorporation of the McCandless Township Sanitary Authority.
Is there a second? Second. Okay. All right, there's a motion, second. Is there any comments or questions? I think I tried to explain it best.
You did well.
Okay, good. Okay. Any public comment?
Why don't you fix their name?
I know, that's their job. That's their job. They're independent authority. It's their job. All right. Any Zoom?
Don't have anyone sign up on Zoom.
It's hard to believe. All right. If there are no further questions or comments, public comment is closed. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, this is, if there is any public non-agenda items that anyone would like to make a comment on. We'll start with people who are present. Is there anyone who would like to make a non-agenda comment? But you already have.
I know, and this is This is a thank you to everybody who serves in a public office. We recently had an election in November, and there's a lot of discourse that's happening right now in our world. And I want to thank every public official who's working to bridge the gaps of discourse and also working, remembering the people and the community that we live in, that we are a place to call home, especially McCandless, where I've spent the last 25 years. So have a very nice holiday. Good luck to the new people coming. And thank you to those people who have served and are leaving.
Thank you. Any more lovely public non-agenda comments?
Lovely.
You couldn't let her tie, could you? You had to pull that in the lead.
Is this going to be lovely? Unlikely. Go ahead.
I got 5 minutes to do this. This is great.
Go.
I want to first reach out to the volunteer and also McCandless Police for having the fun and games at the high school today. You got, for everything I've heard, they did an awesome job. It's great to have them protecting the kids, the community. Also to the guys that are out there picking up all the leaves. It's great to see them out there and about and doing their jobs and getting them done. Thank you to the council for extending the period, because I really don't know what I would do with 5 dump trucks worth of leaves if you would have left them in my front yard, because they're still falling, like you said. What else? And to those that have, it's really strange being at a meeting where there's nobody on this board other than Kim that I know. And I gotta say, and I gotta blame that totally on COVID, because I can tell you, before this great piece of property that's down the street here got redeveloped, I can tell you I was at many a meeting, and let's put it this way, there's people that were on the council are no longer here, and there's kind of some reasons why, because we had people step up and make a difference in the community. So thank you for whoever's leaving. I'm not sure who's staying, who's leaving. I believe Dave must be leaving because he applied for one of those positions. So I got to say, Dave's one of the ones going out. But everybody else, thank you for your service. Sometimes we come across as being hard on you, but I can tell you, just go and talk to the North Allegheny School District and their school board meetings. And I can tell you that since the time they tried to close Peebles, I've missed maybe 5 meetings and that was 7 years ago. So they have usually 2 meetings a month. I can say that all the COVID's gone, even though we're all sitting here with these clown masks on. I'll say that be prepared for people to be coming back to these meetings and asking the questions and making you think twice about the things you're voting on. Because sometimes you're not the experts, sometimes you are, but the fact is you have a great community, and utilize that community to the best of their knowledge of the people that are out there that can really make your jobs actually easier. So thank you, everybody, for what you guys do, and have a great holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Anything on Zoom at all? All right. That is there.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We just got a request from Christine for general.
This is Matt Shipley. Do I have the floor?
We can hear you. Yes, we're ready for your comment.
Yeah, I just got home. I was at a committee meeting tonight, so I'm not sure what was discussed. But I just want to say real quickly that that a lot of things have happened. And I sent a letter to each one of the ward members, and I'm going to make that public. I'm going to make that letter public. But, you know, the way that Matt Lucas was, he was nominated by the committee, which Council President Zachary was a part of, and then Council President Zachary undermined her own recommendation and put forward Brian Sullivan, who's her neighbor and her friend, and as to be on the board. And then for this next one, where Amy Wearspan was supposed to be her seat, who she wants to still participate, and as the president of the board.
Mr. Shipley, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We've already taken public comment on this earlier. This is for non-agenda items.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was not available earlier.
Okay,
and I understand why you would want to cut me off. So yes, I can completely understand there, President Zachary.
We're just trying to be fair to everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're trying to be fair to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there more comments?
I don't have anyone else signed up.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.